When buying or selling your home, call Leo Bato. He has years of experience in real estate, showing honesty and integrity in every transaction. He's a person you can definitely trust. So book your appointment with Leo Bato today by giving him a call at 818-648-4837 or by visiting him on the web at www.leobato.realtor.
Rejuvenate your smile with Dr. Lourdes Capelong's comprehensive range of dental solutions. Along with general dentistry, Dr. Capelong specializes in cosmetic dentistry, including teeth whitening, bonding, dental veneers, and surgical crowns. Whether it's urgent care or preventive treatment, she'll take care of you and your smile. To schedule an appointment, call the clinic at area code 323-257-7582.
This episode is brought to you by ABBA E-Services.
And the podcast will begin in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Ladies and gentlemen, big round of applause, Miss Lorraine Bautista.
Thank you. I'm so glad to be here. I'm so excited.
So good to have you finally.
Yes, right after tag. Playing phone tag here and there.
By the way, shout out to Simon and to Aaron.
Yes.
Of Wish.
Yes, big shout out to Simon and Aaron for sure.
Yes.
Yeah, I wouldn't be here.
but you've been making the rounds. How long have you been working on your music?
So on a more professional level, I would say the last 2 years. But music has always been, a big part of my life.
How old were you when you started, Lorraine?
8, I want to say. That's my earliest memory of me being involved in music. When I was 8, so at the time I was in 5th grade, I want to say. And I was attending this school called Our Lady of Loretto here in LA, and we had a school choir. And that's when I started to participate in music. But we also had like karaoke around the house, as all Filipino households do.
What would you normally sing?
So actually, the first moment I realized how beautiful singing was when I watched Leona Lewis on American Idol. I was really, really young at that time. But when she first aired, I was just in awe of her vocals. And I could still remember like the moment I was like sitting on my bunk bed, just like watching her and watching the reruns of American Idol.
But you weren't 8, or were you 8 at the time?
I was probably around that age.
Wow.
Around then. But
did you know you could sing, or you just wanted to sing?
I wanted to sing, yes. I felt like in me I can, but it wasn't until like later in the years where I wanted to take music a little bit more seriously.
Okay, I'll stop you there, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
by all means.
when you said within yourself, you knew you could, right?
Mm-hmm.
Can you explain that? Because that's very interesting. Because other people, kids, teens, young adults, whether it's music or whatever, they feel that they can.
Yeah, right.
But they never do.
And I was in that position.
Okay, let's go there. I want to tackle that.
Yeah,
okay.
When I was younger, I never had like the confidence I knew I needed to be a singer when I was younger. I wasn't necessarily, encouraged in the household or anything like that. Also, I'm just a very naturally reserved and shy person.
Introverted?
Yeah, I'm very introverted. But I can, it's balance. But I would say I identify more as I'm very shy. And so growing up, for me, music was an outlet for me, a creative outlet. And I looked to music for inspiration when I felt really, really lonely. And even till this day, I wouldn't be who I am without music. And I find myself in music.
So when you started singing, what did mom and dad say?
They didn't really say much.
Were they like you mentioned, like they weren't really pushing you to sing?
No, yeah, and it was more so because they wanted me to take a more conventional path, like a more stable job and finding security in a full-time job.
Did you?
And things like that. And yes, I'm currently working a full-time job. In the showbiz industry. But my mom always had hopes of me becoming a lawyer and studying in the legal field.
Did you?
No, I thought that's what I wanted to do. do. I did explore it and everything. You know, I graduated in sociology.
Pre-law.
Yeah, exactly. So I thought that's a path I wanted to take because I really wanted to make a social, you know, impact through you know, through policy, and you know, that stuff intrigued me. However, I knew in my heart I was an artist. Like I know in my heart that art is where my desires are. And so I just, you know, when I first told my parents, obviously I had opposition. And a little bit
Mostly from mom, mostly from dad.
Really from both.
Really?
I guess.
How many siblings do you have?
So I have a total of 3 siblings.
Are you the eldest?
I'm the eldest girl. Yeah. And
Eldest girl, meaning middle child, or eldest? Or what are you?
oh, eldest girl. So like
Okay.
I'm a middle child. So I have my brother.
I figured it out. When you said eldest girl, I was like, okay, middle child.
Yeah. Yeah. And but you know, because me and my sisters are very close in age, I was looked at as the oldest sister.
Right.
Because me and my brother were 11 years apart, so it's like a
Dang.
huge gap.
That's like you know what? Like, because I have a son who is 12 years older than my twins.
No.
So I consider my son an only child.
As an only child, yeah.
Yeah, that's how it is, right?
That's how my brother was looked at as, as an only and he had a good 11 years before we came and we popped out. And so
so everyone, your sister
he
and
was
your
like my
brother have
second father.
conventional jobs.
My older brother, yes.
Okay.
Yes. And I thought that's the footsteps I wanted to follow suit. But when my parents moved to Georgia, it kind of gave me an opportunity to break out in my own and find my own individuality. Sorry, I can't talk. And find my identity apart from, you know, my
Wait, when they
siblings.
moved to Georgia, did you move with them or did you stay here?
No, I stayed here when they moved. And so then...
Did you make them move?
No! No!
I'm like, wanted how to move my parents to Georgia so I could pursue a career in music. Sociology 101. Thesis pala, no?
My thesis. No, yeah, my parents, they were, they had been thinking about moving to Georgia for like
and
the
you have been
longest time.
encouraging them silently, no, passive-aggressive
Oh,
style.
no.
Oh, really, mom, dad? Oh.
No. Like, my parents, they want it. I mean, it's, you know, lower cost of living there, and they also had immediate family over there,
Right.
so.
Plus, it gives you the freedom to do music, right?
That too. Yeah, absolutely.
Put you on the spot.
You are.
Okay.
But
So shout out to your parents, by the way.
I love you, Mom and Dad. I do.
Okay, so they moved to Georgia. Had you graduated college when they moved to
Yes.
Georgia?
Yeah,
Okay.
I had already
Did
graduated.
they take your younger sister with them?
No, actually, me and my sisters, we stayed here. Because my sister, had a family, and so then she figured it's best for her family to move to Georgia because it's so much cheaper. So then she followed suit, and then my sister followed suit afterwards.
Oh my God.
So they left.
So
Yeah, and so then, I have my aunts here. Like, I do have family here. So I'm not completely on my
Alone,
own.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so that's helped a lot.
all right, so the situation presented itself like they wanted you to go the conventional route,
Right.
right?
Yes.
However,
Thank you.
circumstances actually said, no. Let me hand it over to Lorraine. In other words, it presented itself to you after the fact that you gave your parents what they wanted.
Yeah, it was my parents' decision to move.
So in other words, it gave you an opportunity,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, it did.
So another crossroad in your life. Okay, you deferred your aspirations to give way to what your parents wanted. Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes. And I'm just making it obvious to every parent and every kid watching that it's okay.
Yeah. Because it's not an easy path. It's not, being an artist is not an easy path. It's something that you have to want to do.
But following your parents, that's not an easy path either.
It's not. No, yeah. Because, every day it's a battle of, whose life am I living,
Let's talk about that.
Yes.
So
Yes.
during your 4 years in college, you were asking that question consistently, or there's that voice,
Yeah.
right?
All the time,
Whispering,
yeah.
going, "Whose life are you living?"
Right. Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But you sucked it up.
And I wanted to, obviously every child wants to appease their parents, and make them happy, and I felt that's what made my parents happy, for me to be in school and not be distracted, and I was very focused, and I did very well in school, but I just knew that there was more to it than just going to school for me, and I felt like I needed to explore this creative endeavor of mine to really discover that and to embody it, and so my parents till this day, I don't think they entirely understand, but they're trying their best to support. But for me, it's just something that I feel I need to do. And so, my parents still encourage me to go, pursue a higher education, get a master's and everything. But as of now, I feel art is what I want to focus on.
Good for
on
you.
my music. And, they're not entirely opposed, but obviously as every parent's concern is how are you going to make a stable living
Right.
off of what you love,
Right.
And it's very much possible, I believe.
You're in the States.
Yeah.
Other people are
Yeah.
not in the States and they're making a living out of the thing they want to do.
Yeah, exactly. And, America is the land of opportunity.
Exactly.
And so, opportunity is where you find it and where you make it. That's
Say
what
it
I've
again
always
so
believed.
that people can.
Opportunity is where you find it and where you make it.
Amen.
100%. Amen.
Galing.
Hallelujah. Yeah.
Okay, so now you just let everything go. Now I'm doing me. How did it feel? Was it liberating?
Yeah, it was very liberating. It was very liberating, pursuing what I wanted to do. But, obviously I feel like there's still so much I need to learn. And I consider myself a student every day. I've reached a final destination. It's always like striving for more, and accomplishing more. And for me, my purpose is really just to make an impact, and make somebody feel something through my art, and I think that's what great art does,
Yes.
but for me, I've never felt like I've reached a destination. I'm always learning. I'm always striving.
How old were you when you wrote your first song?
So I actually had it all. I helped to co-write. I didn't write it on my own. That was about two years ago when I first released that track. But yeah, I had it all as my baby because I recorded that, in a studio, and I was really excited. I was also super nervous, but I felt like that's where I needed to be. And and it just happened by chance that the person.
Let's talk about that chance. I want to hear that. So
yeah, so the producer actually of the track, he was looking for a singer at that time, and it just happened that we met. And so then and so I heard the track and I was like, you know what, I want to work on this, let's do it. And so I resonated with the lyrics, and it was originally supposed to be a pop song, played on the guitar. But, me being extra, I wanted to hear it on the piano, and when he played it, I was like, yeah.
see, so you really know what you
Yeah.
want.
Mm-hmm. Like, for me, it's like if I like what I hear and I feel something, I feel like it's worth working on and creating, It's a whole process. It's a whole creative process behind the work.
So, okay, after recording it and when you heard the final product, what was going through your head?
So I felt like, me being a perfectionist, I was like, this could be changed, this, that, and this. But at the end, I was like, dang, like, who broke your heart, Lorraine? Like,
Who broke your heart?
Well, for me, it was kind of like a relationship, situationship that I had like back then. But even then, like for me, I never took relationships seriously. I always focused on, I always focused on my studies and what was important to me.
So relationships aren't important to you?
Well, no, it's not. It's not a priority to me right now.
Is it a priority now?
Right now, it's something to consider. Yeah, absolutely. Because people get lonely.
Of
It gets
course,
lonely.
right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. Perfectionist. That's scary. You see that guy across the table? That's a perfectionist. Still single up to now.
Are you foretelling?
Right? Yeah. Consider that your first warning.
Being a perfectionist, it's
a
like
curse.
it's a curse. It's a double-edged sword. I'm telling you, like all the greatest vocalists I study and I love to listen to, they're all perfectionists.
It's a curse.
Yeah, it's a curse. But because it's kind of like masked insecurity, in a sense. And so that's what I felt. But like that's something I'm working on now, like trying to like own more of my artwork.
Can you be a perfectionist and grateful at the same time?
That's hard. I think there's a balance.
That's a nice question though, no? Just talk about it right now. Can perfectionists be grateful? Because I know we have topics for him and I.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, dude, just say thank you.
Yeah, right.
But
yeah, absolutely.
But you guys probably have something to say. Something to say instead of just saying.
That I cannot, like I agree with you on that. I feel like that's the thing with being a perfectionist, like, it's really a double-edged sword, it's because you envision it one way, and it's like if it doesn't come out that way,
yes.
you feel like you feel like it's not
the
enough,
day's done. The day's over.
Yeah, exactly. And so I think it's about finding that balance. So when it comes to the creative process of writing songs, that's when I come to a crossroads, and I'm like, okay, is this good enough? Is this good enough to release? But what I've learned as an artist, and as I learn from other people's experiences, it's also important to just release stuff, even though you feel like it's not at its 100. As long as you feel confident in it and you're satisfied with the results, I feel like it's just part of the development.
Yeah, I have a perfect analogy.
Yeah.
Basketball players cannot be perfectionists. You know why? Yeah. They're never gonna take the shot.
100%. Right.
No. Hold on.
Right, but it's like sometimes you just have to do it. You just have to bite the bullet.
Oh, you think?
Yeah. And yeah, absolutely.
Look at you talking to yourself.
Yeah, but for
when
me,
you said the word perfection, it's like, oh, you caught me at first. Oh, everything else is blah 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 blah. I want to talk about that because it's interesting.
that's something I still very much struggle with every day. Being a perfectionist, it's hard. Like,
have you? When was the last time you dated? Are you dating?
Somewhat, but I'm not taking it seriously.
Because you're a perfectionist. You're finding little flaws. Oh, his elbows are dark. No.
Well, it's. I don't know how to explain it.
Explain it. This is your episode. Wouldn't it be nice for you to watch this and go, oh my God, what did I just say?
Well, I don't know, because I feel like it's even in school, I was a perfectionist. Like, I always wanted straight A's. I always wanted to do well. I wanted to excel.
Yes.
So it translates.
By the way, I have a son who's like that, huh?
Really?
Yeah, straight A's, full scholarship.
Yeah.
But then I go, oh, baby, it's gonna get miserable as you get older because the world isn't perfect.
It's true. That's the truth. That's absolute truth. And I feel like when you're around people who want to excel, the pressure feels.
Okay. So here's another question.
Right.
Think hard before you answer, huh?
Yes.
Are you the type of person who loves winning or who hates losing? Think.
Oh my gosh. You're putting me on the spot.
This is your spot.
Honestly, I would say
again, you want me to repeat that question?
Yeah.
Are you the type who loves to win? Or are you the type who hates to lose. Those are two different.
It's two different things. Yeah.
This episode is brought to you by Leo Bato and Associates, ang realtor na patok.
That's hard. I would say I would hate to lose. I would hate to lose.
That's hard, Lorraine. I mean, you gotta.
But that comes with it. Even when you fail, you have to accept it. If you want to exceed and do well in what you do, you have to accept failure.
Those are
and
that's
losing face.
those are the people who love to win.
Yeah,
They accept failure.
Yeah,
because that's part of winning.
Yeah, absolutely.
People who hate to lose
Yeah.
will do anything to win.
Right. Yeah.
They really don't love winning. They just hate to
They
lose.
just hate to lose. And that's where it becomes very much an ego thing, I feel
Yes.
like, because if you're being an entrepreneur, it's about losing. It really is about losing.
But gaining the experience.
And gaining the
and
experience
the
along.
knowledge.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And that's part of the territory, and I feel like that's why people don't end up pursuing what they want to do, because they're afraid of losing. They're afraid of failure. They're afraid of rejection. But really, that's a part of the process.
Right.
And, like they say, diamonds grow under pressure. And,
Yes.
And when you lose, it makes you realize how much you want it more.
Yes.
So
let's go back to 8-year-old Lorraine. So she found it within herself that she could sing. But she was kind of scared in the beginning. Plus there were outside forces not letting her do that. What compelled little Lorraine to take the first step toward her passion?
I think just at the time, just not caring and just doing what I felt inside was right, And
You know that not caring means not being perfect, right?
right, yeah. Right. Yeah, that's really what it's about. Yeah, absolutely. And not caring, and that's why I'm saying, even till this day, I still struggle with that.
You have to remind yourself
Yeah,
now.
I still have to remind myself. And, it's an everyday battle, but I know it's very much possible, And so I wouldn't be here pursuing music if I didn't think I could, or if I had any ability to, But I believe in a higher power.
Amen.
And I believe that I was given a purpose, and if I don't fulfill it, I don't want to live with regrets. I don't know how I would be able to live with that. Yeah. I don't know.
You only have one life.
Yeah, one life.
I mean, if God gave you the talent, why aren't you going to use it?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And, the worst thing is to have it, taken away, Yeah, because, we're going to go into story time, because what happened, so what happened was that when I was 13, I had a thyroidectomy, and so I had a partial of my thyroid removed because
Were
I
you
had a
hypo
tumor.
or hyper?
I was hyper.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And so it ran in the family, and it just happened that I was the sibling who got it. And so, after that was around, actually 13 was around the age when I wanted to pursue music and I wanted to be a singer, but I never had it in me at that time to voice it out. But I remember specifically when my brother sat me down and asked me, so what do you want to do when you grow up, But my family didn't, because I didn't showcase that part of me growing up. I didn't even know how my brother would react if I told him, I wanted to be a singer,
Did you tell him though when he asked?
No, I didn't tell him. Yeah. And that was around the time I had my thyroidectomy.
Yeah.
And after my thyroidectomy, I literally felt like as a singer, my voice changed. I felt like I sounded so different, and I felt like
Different in a good way or a bad way?
in a bad way.
Oh, man.
That's how I felt at that time. And so I was I was so devastated, and I was really sad. And I didn't tell my parents or anything like that, but it was always something that affected me. And I felt like, maybe singing is just not for me. I don't, so.
Can we Can we thread on a topic that's very important? Because we're generations apart, okay? But you said something that every parent listening and every kid watching or listening should take to heart. There are a lot of stuff that you withheld from your family for fear of rejection or objection or whatever.
Yeah.
How can we avoid that?
You know, it's a really
I have a
touchy
7-year-old
subject.
daughter. I have a 7-year-old daughter, and I'm trying to be as
Yeah.
encouraging for her to be
Her.
open to me.
Right.
But
yeah.
but wouldn't it be nice? Like, I mean, in the future you're gonna have kids. Would you want your kids to do what you did?
No, I would want to be, close with my child, and I want to know.
So let's
Yeah.
let's talk about it because I'm about done with kids. You're just about getting there.
Right.
But what's the game plan? How should parents communicate with kids? I mean, what would have made you talk when you were 13?
I think just taking the time to sit your child down and just try to understand your child instead of, feeling like you want them to be a certain way. I feel like, giving them the space to be creative and be themselves, And, I'm not saying anything bad about my parents. I love my parents or anything like that. Yeah, absolutely. But I
get you.
understand your question. Yeah. And, I think every child they have their, obviously every child is different. They have their own personality. And I think it's just about being able to really take the time to understand your child, because I was just a very naturally reserved child.
And that's
Like,
hard, right?
Yeah.
Because
yeah.
me, I was a very talkative kid, but I'm still talkative.
Yeah. Hence the podcast.
I
yes.
know, but my dad was your conservative, typical conservative dad who grunted and you go to school. And my mom was the liberal who actually, it's like, you have a tattoo. Oh, that's nice. Oh, you
Yeah.
want to pursue music? Okay. So
I love that.
I had
Yeah.
that.
I
Right?
love that. Yeah. I
But
love
but
that.
then again, I lost them at an early age. My mom first before my dad. So imagine
Oh,
the torture,
wow.
losing my mom, not having that spokesperson, and having to stay with my dad for another year because he died a year later.
Right.
But I could,
Wow.
I'm trying to imagine being in a household having two parents who are on the same page, but so much on a different page with their children.
Right. Yeah. Right. And it's funny because my parents are the same way. They're like opposite in some ways, And so, that was really hard. I felt like just because of our family dynamics and stuff, but that's why I felt like, speaking as a parent, like
Yeah.
you can't force your child to do anything, like ultimately it's them, like they have that say, they know what they feel, And so, to answer your question earlier, I think just being able to allow your 7-year-old child to just be who they want to be without judgment and, trying to make them conform a certain way or be who you want them to be. I think that's so important for their development. 'Cause
Nice, no?
especially for early, that's such a tender age.
Yes.
So, I mean, I've learned like what I want to do with my children growing up,
Share.
And I want to, and be who, allow them to feel comfortable enough to speak with me whenever they want to,
Believe
And
me, when my daughter just this school year said, Daddy, you know what the name of my crush is?
Yeah.
Like, she didn't even say, I have a crush on someone. She was like, do you want to know the name of my crush? I'm like, what the heck? But of course I did say that, right? I had to go.
But that's so nice that your child is able to open up to you.
Because I'm doing what you're thinking of doing with your future kids. Like, I'm encouraging my kids, but it's hard.
But I feel like it's a process. All children, they have a shell at a certain age. I feel like they break out of that. And they,
Right.
But obviously comes, it's so depending on their environment and all these things.
Now, were you shy because of your environment? Like, had your parents been more encouraging, would you have been more extrovertish?
Honestly, I feel like I would have, as a child, I felt like I was very like I felt like there were times I was very loud, but also very times where I was just very reserved for some
Loud,
reason.
and then they'd say, "Shh,
Yeah.
stop it,"
Like, yeah, like well, apparently my parents did say I had like high energy when I was younger.
which is good.
Yeah. But I don't know.
Put your
it's,
mic
like,
closer.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
But but I think it was like during my high school years where I just kind of became a lot more reserved.
Were you bullied in high school?
In high school, no, I was not bullied in
Were
high
you
school.
bullying other kids in high school? Be honest.
No. I went to an all-girls school.
Were you
so
bullying
it's like-
other girls?
No. No. Yeah, it was just, I don't know. It was just a huge shift from middle school to high school. And I don't know if it was my environment, but yeah, I felt like I had to be a certain way,
Wait, you had to be a certain way in front of your peers or in front of your parents or both?
No, I felt like both, I felt like both. I felt like in high school was very much encouraged to, get a full-time job and get a very stable job. A lot of my friends were nurses in the medical field and stuff, but I knew in my heart that's not what I wanted to do. And so there was that pressure.
Right?
Very fun.
Yeah. My
You're not
God.
a nurse. Oh, you're not really Filipino.
Well, college, you're going to Mount St.
Yeah,
Mary's. You're going to APU. Right?
Right, yeah,
Very typical, right?
exactly.
By the way, shout out to all the nurses.
Yeah. So, and I give much respect to all of them.
Yes.
All of them. I give them so much kudos because, during this time. But for me personally, I just felt like that's not where my heart was, And so I feel like my heart was in art and, creating art and any kind of art. I do visual art. I do obviously music, photography, filming, and all these things. So, but music is definitely like a huge extension of who I am. And,
Perfect.
and so, after that incident when I was 13, it was very much a wake-up call for me later in my adulthood to realize that,
you only live once.
you only live once. Yeah.
So, okay. See, I'm in line with this whole sequence of event. When did you find the guts to actually sit your parents down?
And tell them that I want.
And what was the process? Because other people, whatever it is they're coming out to,
Yeah. Right.
they have that internal conflict
Yeah.
and then the reveal.
And right, yeah. And that's something I want to encourage for other artists too, if they really truly believe in it, even though they're facing pressure from your family,
Your
your
friends.
friends, like people who you thought were close with.
Your friends are
It's
the
just-
first people who are going to say, dude, or
Yeah.
bruh,
Right.
hell no.
Right. Especially when they're taking another path.
Don't do it,
and-
bruh.
Yeah. Yeah. And but you just have to believe in yourself,
So what was
and your
the
ability and your
inner
talent.
conflict like?
So actually the first time when I disclosed to my parents it was actually just me and my mom. We were like, she was driving.
Sneaky. Oh, she was
and-
driving.
Yeah, no. No, and she
Did you
was
step on the
asking
brakes?
me. No.
You what?
That was her reaction though. She was like, music. She was like, music, and I was like, yeah. And it took her a while, and so actually we had a baby shower, my sister's baby shower, and my mom, she encouraged me to to sing in the baby shower, and I sang
okay.
Colors of the Wind, for the first time. But I was really nervous because I was like, my mom doesn't really know that I like to sing,
Okay.
and like if
So you're kind of timid.
yeah, I was like really and I'm very shy, and so
So you're
But I
putting
was
up,
able to-
you were actually really just putting up a front.
I mean,
Think about it. Like if they were more encouraging, if they told you, "Hey, can you sing at your sister's baby?" Sure.
yeah, right.
But because you didn't want
I
to
was
reveal.
I was really afraid of criticism.
Yes.
And feeling like,
Yes.
because at that time I think I was like 20, and and so I was like, okay, I have to do very well, like to impress my mom.
Because you're a perfectionist.
Because I'm a perfectionist or whatever, yeah. And I was, I felt like I had something to prove, you
Yeah.
know. So I felt a lot of pressure, but I still went up there and
You killed it.
Yeah, and well, it's funny because my my aunt my aunt sings too. So it runs in the family, you know. And so after that, my aunt went up and sang and everything. And I mean, I don't really remember exactly. I just remember feeling like, okay, like I just want to do better. You know, I just want to keep going. Like that's what I remember how I felt at that time.
But with that kind of feeling, aren't you tired that you don't pause to appreciate what you just did? Again, it's hard because you're critical of yourself, right?
That's true, yeah. Yeah.
But looking back in the hindsight, right, the many things that you've done, isn't it nice to just stop for a while?
Yeah. And yeah,
And
absolutely.
then-
And smell the flowers and be grateful.
Yeah, look
and
back and go,
yeah. And absorb the moment, you know, because I'm so grateful for where I am now today. You know, I feel like
Amen.
I've been blessed in so many ways, and I know for me it's just the beginning. You know, and every day for me, my relationship with God is most important first and foremost. You know, and I want to be able to reflect that in my music, and you know, allow people to feel that in my music. So that's the biggest thing for me. And so. That's why like being in the LA scene, it's so iffy for me because a lot of the music I don't know if I resonate with, and it's like I feel like you have to be a certain way to hit mainstream, you know. But
Or-
I don't want.
go ahead. I have an idea, but go ahead. I want to hear the rest.
Oh yes,
You were
yeah,
saying
and
mainstream. You're not
mainstream.
sure if you can hit mainstream.
yes, with like the kind of music that's out right now, you know, and so that's why I'm kind of at that crossroads of finding who I am as an independent artist, but also like satisfying, but also like, you know, obviously being able to make money off of what I do, you know, and make a sustainable living off of what I do. But it's just, I know that like the things that I see in the industry right now, it's kind of makes me reconsider a
Right.
lot of things. Yeah.
You know how many people have said, how many people have come to me, JJ and Michael, and actually said, dude, your videos are too long. You should shorten it, and you're gonna get more subscribers, more whatever.
Right.
And we just smile. We smile. We don't listen to what they say
Yeah.
because this is the goal right now, and this is in line with finding your identity. The goal when we started this is this, to give you a platform where you and I can actually just go detail to detail with what went on in the past and what's going on in the future, so that people can pick and choose what they want to pick and choose with regard to your story.
Right.
Can you imagine if we condensed that into 15 minutes?
I know it wouldn't be the same.
Right? There's no
Yeah.
context.
Yeah, exactly. And you're missing like the meat,
Yeah.
you know, of the of the episode. Yeah,
And
absolutely.
and then like saving grace, caveat, silver lining is reading the comments and people going, oh my God, that 2 hours just went by so
Too
fast.
long or whatever, right? Or it went by fast.
Yeah, no, I mean,
But that's the thing. Like when you're watching something, it's like you take what resonates with you, you know. But the details matter. The context, as you say, matter. So I would say, you know, do whatever you feel is right for yourself.
see,
You know.
I just got you to preach to yourself.
Yeah.
because
Absolutely.
because I'll go back to when you said mainstream. My thing is with you. Mainstream will find you.
Yeah,
You
absolutely.
don't need to go knocking on mainstream's door.
That's true.
In the age of social media and the internet, your fans are just waiting for you. They just don't know you yet, but they're waiting for you.
Amen.
Does that make
Amen.
sense?
Amen. Yeah, absolutely. And you know, like for me, it's it's part of the development.
Yes.
You know? And so I know where I am and I know where I want to be. And I think it's just about combing through those
Yeah.
kinks and really just
Don't comb too much, huh?
Yeah.
Again.
Right.
Okay, I hope this conversation resonates.
Yeah.
Oh shoot, Paco's gonna call me a perfectionist again, rolling his eyes. And I hope it becomes a mnemonic device that every time, I want it to be. Oh my God, I can picture Paco's face. Like, oh, geez.
Perfectionist. Right. No, yeah, I appreciate this advice, and sometimes it's the hardest thing to hear that you need to. It's the hardest thing that you need to hear is.
Because you need to move on,
Yes.
Lorraine. Like you need to
Yeah.
do it and then
Yeah.
let it go. Like think of that. You can't be a basketball player with that
And-
kind of attitude.
Right. Yeah. Absolutely. Shoot or shoot. Period.
Right?
Shoot or shoot. Yeah. And so every day, I embody that. I try to embody that. And so
This episode is brought to you by Dr. Lourdes Capulong.
that's why it's like I want to get to a place of like I want to be able to inspire other people to know that like I've been there, I've been in a period time when I felt so scared and paralyzed to do anything, but you just have to keep believing in yourself and just doing what you feel is right
Yes.
in your heart.
You know what? I'm gonna on that note, I'm gonna shout out to my son. He did a self experiment. He challenged himself. One song a week. One song a week for 1 year.
Wow.
52
That's
songs.
good for him. Yeah.
52
Two
songs
Wow.
written,
Yeah.
produced, mixed,
Yeah.
released. I go, what'd you learn after 1 year? I learned that I'm not going to be able to write a hit song in spite of the fact that I released 52 songs.
Okay.
What else did you learn?
See, but that's the thing. Like, is there ever a destination? You know what I'm saying? Like, when you quit, that's when, when you decide you can't do it anymore. That's the day.
Yeah.
That,
But this is what he learned. He learned that he could write 52 songs, and half of those songs were appreciated by over 1,000 people.
that's amazing. See, that's the beauty in it. Wow, that's quite a story. Even though he felt like he couldn't write a song. Yeah, and that's the beauty of it. That's why you just gotta keep going.
So now he walks and he looks at me and actually, because we've written a lot of songs, but
Yeah.
but then again, his bragging rights would always be, well, Dad, can you write a song a week, produce it, record it, release it? Have you ever done it?
And he asks you that.
And I just look at him going, and he's like,
I gotcha.
talk to me when you've done what I did,
Right.
which is true though,
That's
right?
valid though. Yeah, absolutely. That's
So
valid.
so
But-
what I'm sharing that with you because there's this energy that you have that's so positive.
Thank you.
I just want to remind you when you're watching this, Lorraine, okay, don't trip over yourself.
Yeah. I love how you mentioned that. I think it was Mary J. Blige. I watched a video of her and she was like, you have to get out of your own way.
Right?
You have to get out of your own way.
See?
When you have so much potential, you have to get out of your own way. And, for me, like, that's why that's a struggle, but there's so much beauty in the struggle. For me, it's like, how do you know, you don't really know victory unless you've been through the blood, the sweat, the tears, and feeling like there's no way out,
Yeah.
But once you do get out, it's like, it's possible. Like, it's very much possible.
Yep.
you
The
know.
struggle is real.
The struggle is real, yes. They don't see struggling artists for nothing.
Diba? Open
Yeah.
mics.
Yes.
That's something you do.
Yes.
Why?
For the experience, to get a vibe of what the
A
audience like to
vibe.
hear. Yeah.
For someone who's a perfectionist, who actually kind of not shun, but who probably would rather avoid criticism, you're actually in a place where you're not gonna get paid for.
Nope.
There are trolls in the audience.
Yes.
Bloodbath.
Yes. Basically, yes. It is. You're putting yourself out there
Yes.
in front of strangers.
Really out there.
And when you're like on the stage, you really do feel a sense like you feel naked, really, because you're putting
Of course.
yourself out there. And especially with the kind of songs I sing and the kind of environments I am, it's a risky thing to do, but I know it's worth it, and I wouldn't exchange it for the world because I felt like
Put your mic closer. Yeah.
that's what where I needed to be,
Right.
and singing the song that I needed in the way I need to sing it. And so for me, I wouldn't change it. Like we were in it's like a club setting, I sang "Had It All" in like a club setting, like a breakup song in a club setting. But and it's that song is my baby, so it's like it's a part of me. So I went up there and I did my thing, and I think that the audience enjoyed it. But I think that's a part of being an artist, just being vulnerable in that way, and accepting that as is.
I like it. I like it when you said being vulnerable, because you really have to reveal parts of you, or else it's not authentic.
Yeah, right, exactly. And where's the art in that? If you're not being vulnerable, because people want to feel something.
Yep.
And so that's what I would say. For any aspiring artists, like always be. I know it sounds so cliche, but always be authentic to yourself, and do what you feel is right in your intuition, your gut. Because no one else knows that but you.
Agree or disagree? It's easier said than done.
Agree. Yeah, it is definitely easier. It's easier said than done.
People think
absolutely.
it's a cliche, but it's a tenacious reminder, because not a lot of people will get it the first time.
Right. Yeah.
Right. Every time we say,
keep doing it.
yeah. Every time we say you have to be authentic. Yeah.
Right.
And then you see them with all these hypocritical actions or reactions and
exactly.
canned statements.
Absolutely. And that's why you have to like remind yourself why you're doing it in the first place, So for me, like, I always be sure to, catch what I'm saying before I say anything, because I don't want to come off hypocritical. And, I'm always learning along the process too. Iron sharpens iron.
Yeah.
So I always be sure to surround myself with other people who inspire me.
Yes.
With other artists. I'm always listening to new music, always studying, the greats people who I love, I adore.
Do you read biographies of artists?
I do, yeah.
Nice, no?
Yeah. It's so inspiring.
Yeah, because you read their struggles.
It's amazing.
And then you see it like, oh my God, they went through the same stuff I'm going through.
Yeah, exactly. And it shines hope. It shines light.
Yes.
Like there's light at the end of the tunnel. And the struggle. It's always worth it when you believe in something. The struggle, it's all worth it.
Right.
The last biography I read was actually Mariah Carey's biography, and it gave me so much hope to learn where she came from, what she had to go through. But it's all a process, and to each their own, no one's path isn't the same,
It's not the same.
Not the same, not at all. It wouldn't be your story.
Thank you very much for saying that.
It wouldn't, yeah. And I think, sometimes in the chaos of everything, we tend to forget that. I know sometimes I do, but at the end of the day, regardless of what anybody says, like I always go by my gut feeling, my intuition. Obviously, I always, consult God first.
Of course.
And I always, do my prayers. But it's important that you do what you feel your heart tells you to do.
Yes. Your conviction, your discernment. Are you more in tune with it now as opposed to when you were a kid?
Yeah, I felt like
because you've discerned stuff even as an 8-year-old. It's just that when you were 8, you never acted upon what you thought you needed to do, what you knew you needed to do.
What I knew it needed to do. Yeah, absolutely. It's developed definitely over the years. I think it took a lot of certain like situations to arise for me to break out of that kind of mentality and stuff. But I'm in a much better place now than I was, back way when.
Yeah.
And, I thank God for that.
Amen.
For him, I really wouldn't be where I am today without him. And so that's what I always want to remind people, who are going through similar struggle is just
surrender.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right?
Amen. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And
I mean, when it's just you in your room or your closet or wherever you want to be, and just turn off the lights.
Yeah. Just between you and him.
Surrender.
Yeah, absolutely.
When did God meet you?
I
And
felt
where?
like Honestly, I always felt like God was in my life. Like
Right.
I always felt like He was always in my life. It was just a matter of me listening.
So when did that happen?
And so I would say probably about like a year ago was when I really felt an encounter with God, and it shifted something in me to just keep going.
What brought about that encounter?
This was when I was I'm still attending the church, but that's when I started attending a Christian church,
Yeah.
and then we went to a summit, and I had experienced things there I hadn't experienced
Like a
anywhere
retreat,
else.
a summit
it was
in the
like a
mountain
retreat. Yeah,
of
yeah.
near Yosemite.
Yeah. Yeah, and it was definitely, I had never experienced that before, but
It's
it was
nice, no?
before
To go on
that,
encounters. It's
Yeah.
nice. It's like a reset button.
yeah, because before that I was going through very much a dry season
Mm.
of like, which direction I wanted to take, but after that time I realized that I just had to keep going, and even through the storm, like I just had to keep persevering, and so that's why I'm here today. And
So people who feel, but you never felt empty. You just felt dry.
yeah, I felt dry. There was a time where I did feel empty too. That came with it too. Yeah. And so
What made you go up to the mountains?
I just wanted to be closer to God.
I mean,
Like-
did you seek it? Like, sign me up. Was it something like that?
No, it was like, so
Did
my
someone-
retreat. Yeah, like, cause there's a group of us,
Yeah.
and so we were all encouraging each other to go.
Yeah.
And so, honestly, at first I was very hesitant to go. But then it was my aunt that was like, she was like, you should go. And I was like, okay. And so I went, and that's when I really, and I had experienced things there that I was like, I was meant to be here, I was meant to be there. I just had to, get out of my own way and just do it.
Again?
Again, yeah. Yeah. And so even, that's why it's still a process for me to just surrender,
Yeah.
every time, And so when I was up there, I wasn't the same after that. It shifted something in me. I still struggled every day, but it's permanently like shifted something.
In other words, conviction, right?
Yeah.
Now there's this personal conviction.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's why you're not going to compromise. Now it's making sense, which is why you're not going to compromise what you want to do to what the world wants you to do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Did I get it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even as we sit, I feel the conviction as you speak,
Yeah.
And like it's amazing when you go through a struggle and you end up on the other side and you look back and and it just inspires you. It's like, okay, I've gone this
Yep.
X amount, and it's like I can just keep going, and so every time when I check in with God and I strengthen my relationship with God, it always renews a sense of faith and hope in me, and like giving me, like reminding me that, I have a purpose, I have a purpose to fulfill in this life. And I'm always grateful for where I am, because things can always be worse. Like,
So what if
things can
God
always-
calls you to do something else?
If God calls me to do something else, if it's in His will, and
Of course,
yes,
yeah.
absolutely, then I would have to redirect, and I would have to
Look at
readjust.
that. Galing, no? That's...
Yeah, like I would have to give up my desires and everything to do what He would want me to do.
Right.
And it's not easy.
Oh, hell
Sometimes,
no.
Hell no, it's not easy. When you feel like you need to take another path.
I'm
Yeah.
laughing, I'm laughing because there have been a lot of times where I felt God telling me to do something, and I was like, you kidding me?
Right.
Not now! And then everything
Right.
just falls apart.
Yeah, exactly. And then and then God has to remind you again, until you get it right. You know.
Yeah. Like this whole Paco's Place thing, I believe, is more of like a gift because of humility, no? Because of
Yeah.
not trying to push my way.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then but we've always wanted this,
Right.
and now it's here. And oh my God, talk about ego. It's called Paco's Place, but you know what? No one's ever interviewed me. You know that feeling, like, you know that thing where my conversation with God is, yeah, I'll give you what you want, but it's not gonna be about you. It's going to be about your guests. And I've heard all the guests go, "Oh my God, oh my God, what an experience! What an experience!" And every time you and other guests leave, it's me going, "When am I gonna have that experience?"
You don't have it with your guests. I feel like you do gain some insight with the
I
artists.
do,
About their stories.
but you know, trivial. I don't know. No one's ever interviewed me.
Oh my gosh, we need a day to interview Paco.
Isn't that weird? Like the what? I guess that, I don't know if you know
We need
this.
to set a date.
Oh my God! There's this person. Her name is Noreen Lani. She's been on the program. She's a host, a singer, and an actress. And didn't we go on her show? She went to Paco's place and we spent 2 hours talking about her life. And then I guessed it on her show, and all I got was 5 minutes. May commercial break pa. Shout out, Noreen.
No. Noreen's watching this. Like,
Yeah. But I'm like, but
5 minutes. Oh my God.
it's God talking to me, telling me that's your humility, Bubba. Not about you.
Yeah, absolutely. You know,
Right?
and it keeps you grounded.
It keeps me
Keeps you
grounded.
grounded, yeah. Right.
Taught me to listen also. So
Because sometimes, the ego could get in the way.
Yeah.
Especially, it's the flesh. Like, when you always want things to go your way,
yes.
you would bypass whatever. God,
Yes.
yeah, whatever. Like, I know better than
Yes.
you. And
That was me back yeah.
But I mean, everyone goes through that. But you have, like you say, it's about surrendering.
Amen. So what's the future like?
Whatever God is, God willing, my dreams, really is to showcase my art. It's an extension of myself, and be able to speak and, make a positive impact for those who have gone through struggle, feeling like they were going through a very lonely path, and it doesn't need to be that way, and that's what I want to be able to accomplish through my work. I don't know exactly how I'm going to do that, but I know that my art is part of my story,
Let's talk about your perseverance, because that's where humility comes in. That's your cross.
Yeah, it is.
And the difference between you and Christ is that as Christ was carrying his cross, he knew where Calvary was. And as far as it was, he knew the distance to Calvary. You don't know the distance to your destination.
No, and it takes a lot of humility. It takes a lot of humility and, like I said, being vulnerable, to persevere through that kind of journey, because it's so easy to just throw in the towel and call it quits.
Right.
It's harder to commit, but I know that God put me here for a reason, and, it, like the story about Moses, like they didn't know when they were going to be fed, but they just kept going.
Right.
It's the hunger. So yeah, like absolutely. I can't say exactly how, my future is going to turn out, but I would like to say I see nonprofit in my future. I've like even in high school, my dream was to open up a nonprofit, and I currently work for a nonprofit. That's where my full-time job is. So I'm learning a lot about like operations and logistics of things. And so I know for sure I want to incorporate, that's going to be in my future.
501c3, baby, all the way.
All the way,
But it's nice to give back. Because other people say, oh yeah, when I have, I'll give back. No.
Yeah, exactly. Like it starts now. You know, and they say that like, they say that when I have it, I'll give it, but it's the other way around.
Give it now.
Give it now, yeah. And then...
Because you'll have it. That's where faith comes in.
Yeah, exactly. And that's where faith comes in. Amen.
Diba? Oh my God.
Amen. But sometimes, like you said, it's the ego and the fear that can hold you back, especially when it's so normalized in society. But, you have to be brave and put your faith and take that leap of faith in God and trust that He will provide for you, through the storm.
When you come across people who don't share your conviction, do you argue?
No,
Do you
I don't argue. I'm just more like, okay, you have your thoughts, I have mine, and I just kind of leave it at that. But I don't try to, unless they try to, put up a front, then I will convince them if I feel like they're coming at me at a certain way,
Ah.
But at the end of the day, like, I know what I believe in, and I trust in the Lord and to take care of that for me. I don't like getting involved in drama and all these
Right.
necessary things. Yeah, I'm very to myself. I feel I'm very independent in that sense.
what if
But I have a lot of faith.
This episode is brought to you by Leo Bato and Associates, ang realtor na patok.
okay, that's good to know. What if, and this is just a hypothetical, okay? What if your calling is ministry?
If it's ministry, then I will have to readjust, and I wouldn't be surprised either.
Why haven't you gone into praise and worship?
I am. I'm doing numbers at church.
Right.
And I'm part of a church. I attend the church right now. I'm currently seeking more through other
Okay, good.
the other pastors, and and strengthening my faith in God, deepening my relationship with God. Actually, the church that I'm in currently, shout out to JIL. They
Okay.
are actually, it's a Filipino church.
JIL, yeah.
Yeah. And so for me, it's really difficult for me to understand because it's all Tagalog, and I'm like, Tita, I need you to translate for me. But that's also where I learned my Tagalog as well. But so that's why I'm seeking other churches to learn more about God. But JL for me is where it started.
It's a big church.
It is a big
Yeah.
church. Yeah, it is a big church. And I'm so grateful for everything I've experienced there, and I'm continuing to experience. But I always felt like there's always something more. There's more to it, than I'm feeling right now. So that's why I'm always seeking answers, and just trying to utilize what my abilities in spreading
The good news.
my faith in God, as I develop.
You know
As
what's so
an artist.
impressive about you is you're actually walking the talk. Here you are having your own struggles as an artist, and yet instead of putting your music first, you're championing His word first. That's what you're impressing upon me, by the way, huh?
And I'm glad, like, it's it's so, like you said, it's so much easier said than done, but when people see the struggle, it inspires them,
Yeah.
and so like I said, it's not easy.
Do you cry when you're by yourself?
I have my moments.
What makes you cry?
Just knowing that, oh my God, you're gonna start making me cry. Just knowing that there's a purpose for me, and just knowing, like, there's more to life than what I'm experiencing now. And it's like I said, temptation, it's everywhere, distractions, it's everywhere, but if you surrender to God and oh my God, Paco, I was not expecting this. No, yeah, when you surrender to God, like, it's
You're making me cry.
it's a whole another life,
Yeah, amen. Jay,
You need the tissue.
yeah.
The Kleenex. So yeah, that's why, like, every day I'm so, cause before all this, like, I felt like I did a 180. Like, I feel very, like, different from when I was as a child.
Right.
Thank you. And so I just know that after that experience, like, I felt very, like, seen, like, God is with me, like,
And calmness.
yeah, and peace, and knowing that
Peace.
everything's gonna be okay, and
Parang galing, no? Imagine,
God is good
all the time.
all the time.
You're really not independent because you have him in your heart,
That's
in your
right.
life.
Yeah, absolutely. Even when I felt like he was with me all along, you know. And
Are your parents walking the same path as you?
currently, no, not so much. They know I'm involved in the church, but they don't know it like in depth or anything.
They
like
do
that.
now.
Well, yeah. Hi, mom and dad. Yeah, and my aunt is very involved with, like, she knows what I'm going through right now, but she always encourages me and
Amen.
and tells me that, like, you know, God has a plan for me, and
Because he does. Are you happy?
yeah, I'm happy. I'm happy that, you know, I
Speak
found.
closer to your mic.
Yeah, I'm happy that, you know, God is in my life, absolutely. But, you know, I think it's just, you know, like you said, the perfectionist side of me, just always wanting, like, you know, the ego and whatnot. I feeling like, you know, I need to be somewhere, like, you know, like feeling like I have to meet a certain standard to feel validated or whatever, you know. But I know that, like, you know, the Spirit is in me, you know, and I just have to keep trusting the process.
Yeah, because you know what? There's
Yeah.
there's something perfect in your life already, which is God's love.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Nothing more is going to be perfect.
Absolutely. Yeah. Really, that's God's love is really all you need.
Yeah.
You know, to feel like nothing amounts to that. Nothing else in this world amounts to that, you know.
To the millennial who is probably all alone right now, holding his or her phone, watching your episode, feeling empty, feeling rejected, thinking he or she has no purpose, what's your advice?
Just to keep trusting God and just to keep the faith, you know. You also have to meet him halfway, and you have to do the work too. You know, and you have to be sensitive to the Spirit and listen to when he's speaking to you, you know, when you're about to make a certain decision, when you know you're going down the wrong path. You just have to look out for his voice, you know, and obviously that's always easier said than done,
Yeah.
but you have to surrender. Yeah, you have to surrender and you know, and say your prayers and always keep him in mind, you know, when you do something, because when you know it's wrong, you'll feel it.
Yeah.
You know, you'll feel it when it's wrong. And God has a plan for you. God has a plan for you, and nothing's impossible without him, you know. And so, yeah, I you know, there's going to be light at the end of the tunnel. There's going to be light at the end of the tunnel. You just have to keep going. That's what I would say. You know, as long as you believe it in your soul and you feel it, you know.
Conviction,
like,
yeah.
Yeah. And don't listen to, you know, those who doubt you, who reject you, who make you feel like you don't belong, because you do, you know. God has a place for you.
Amen.
God has a place for you. So that's what I would say, you know. But everyone's journey is different, so you don't compare your journey to anybody else's, because you're you and you got your own story. You know?
Are you?
Yeah, I'm me.
Ladies and gentlemen,
I'm
Miss
me.
Lorraine Bautista. Amen. All the time. We'll post links in the description. Please don't forget to follow Lorraine. Support her. Support her journey. Also, don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment down below. Thank you for joining us.